Hello again, fellow TuTubers. It's Miss R here, and today we're going to be looking at question 3, and we're looking at the fox and the goat still. Okay, so again, I'm going to read the extract to you. I just think it's better for me to read it to you, and if you want to pause it and have a read of it yourself, feel free to. So, a fox one day fell into a deep well and could find no means of escape. A goat, overcome with thirst, came to the same well and, seeing the fox, inquired if the water was good. Concealing his sad plight under a merry guise, the fox indulged in a lavish praise of the water, saying it was excellent beyond measure and encouraging him to descend. The goat, mindful of his own thirst, thoughtlessly jumped down, but just as he drank, the fox informed him of the difficulty they were both in and suggested a scheme for their common escape. "If," he said, "you will place your forefeet upon the wall and bend your head, I will run up your back and escape and will help you out afterwards." The goat readily assented, and the fox leaped up on his back. Steadying himself with the goat's horns, he safely reached the mouth of the well and made off as fast as he could. When the goat upbraided him for breaking his promise, he turned around and cried out, "You foolish old fellow! If you had as many brains in your head as you have hairs in your beard, you would never have gone down before you had inspected the way up, nor have exposed yourself to the dangers from which you had no means of escape." So question 3 says, you now need to think about the whole of the source. How is the text structured to interest you as a reader? You could write about what the writer focuses your attention on at the beginning, how and why the writer changes this focus as the source develops, and any other structural features that interest you. Now, I just want to make a note of the fact that the question says you now need to think about the whole of the source. In an exam, the extract that you will receive will be a lot longer than this short story. It will be part of a novel or the opening of a novel or something like that. It will be at the very least, 33 lines with smaller text than this. So that means with question 1, question 2 and question 4, you'll be looking at specific parts of the extract as opposed to the whole of the extract. Whereas question 3, language paper 1, this is where you look at the whole of the extract because you're looking at the structure. So it's really important in question 1, 2 and 4 to look at what lines they are telling you to look at, and then answer the question based off quotes within those lines. Whereas question 3, you have free range. So you have 2 tasks to complete. I want you to make a comment on the beginning and the end of the story, and find and make comments on 2 other structural features. Again, please refer back to the list of structural devices that I have linked below. Take about 5 to 7 minutes on this task. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so if you haven't looked at my question 2, then you won't know what this is. But in my question 2, I actually showed you an annotated version of the extract that I actually annotated. And I looked at, for question 1, I looked at language and structural devices. So as you can see, the structural devices that I identified were the narrative voice, because I identified it's a third-person narrative. I looked at the opening, where I looked at where it says deep well and how it opens with a description of the main issue and detached from the characters to foreground the moral. I also looked at some foreshadowing, the sad plight under a merry guise, because it's foreshadowing his plans to deceive the goat. So that's 3 structural features. I've looked at the opening, I've looked at the narrative voice, I've looked at foreshadowing, and at the bottom I've looked at the ending where it says no positive resolution. And the reason why is because it's a moralistic story. Okay? So, just like we did for question 2, we're going to do a table. And the reason why I enjoy doing tables is because it breaks down all the elements of a good paragraph. And it's really important that you practice this in your revision. Not that you'll be writing, you'll be drawing tables in your exam. However, it does get you to sort of understand what needs to be included in a good paragraph. So by the time it comes to your exam, hopefully you'll remember it. So I've looked at 4 structural features: beginning, ending, foreshadowing, and narrative voice. However, I've left a row at the bottom for anything else that you may have identified, and I'm sure you probably have. So I've completed the first row. I've looked at the structural feature beginning. The quote I've used is, "A fox one day fell into a deep well." When in terms of explaining the writer's choices, I've said the writer has made the choice to present the issue straight away, leaving no room for suspense. There is a lot of ambiguity in this opening, as the writer doesn't specify what day, and there is no additional info on the fox. The effects on the reader, I've said the reader is left intrigued to find out how the fox manages to free himself. And any other links, I've said the reader is able to find out how the fox solves this problem by the end, but it is his decisions that may concern the reader. I would like you to now fill out the rest of this table. So I've given you the quotes for the ending, foreshadowing, and narrative voice, and I want you to see if you can make any sort of comments on it. I do believe that foreshadowing might be quite difficult, so if anything, I'd like you to at least look at the ending, fill out all the columns on that, and the narrative voice, and the one that you've picked out for yourself. I would like you to spend no more than 10 minutes on this task. So pause the video now and have a go. Okie dokie. So now you've filled out your table, I'd like you to attempt to write your response using everything you've got in your table and putting it into a response. So you need to make sure that you want to try and write at the very least 3 paragraphs, and you want to look at least 3 structural features. But the reason why I got you to look at more was because you'll be able to pick and choose. And if you want to, you could write more. You can write about more structural features, especially if you have the time. So within each paragraph, you want to include a quote, you want to identify the structural feature, you want to link the quote to overall meanings behind the text, you want to explore the emotional impact of a quote on the reader, and you want to potentially link it to other parts of the extract, just to show that you know why that structural feature has been used and how it links to the whole of the extract. So I've given you an example. My example says, firstly, in the opening of the extract, the writer informs the reader that a fox one day fell into a deep well. Here, Aesop has made the choice to present the issue, his unfortunate fall, straight away, leaving no room for suspense. There is a lot of ambiguity in this opening, as the writer doesn't specify what day, and there is no additional info on the fox, perhaps to reflect the fox's devious nature. The reader is left intrigued to know more about the fox and also find out how the fox manages to free himself. Fortunately, the writer provides the reader with more information by the end of this extract, as they are able to find out how the fox solves his problem. Now, I'd like you to spend no more than 15 minutes writing up at the very least 2 more paragraphs, and, just really try and explain yourself more than what you've got in the table. Remember, the table is there to just give you ideas. You putting it into a paragraph, you want to explain yourself a bit more and just make sure that whoever's reading your work really understands what it is you're saying. And don't forget to read over your work as well. Make sure that grammatically it makes sense, and try and make sure that your spelling is good. Okay, so that's the end of the lesson. Hopefully you've attempted your question 3, and I will see you tomorrow for question 4. Bye.